Without all the other stuff, just the oh, she's got it right. Alex, I was able to. Okay, great. Thanks, sir. Yeah, 6 points. Right, How you doing? Good for you. Awesome. Absolutely. This is somebody. When's the other person sitting?
Yeah, there's still one.
Baby. Tom's not. Did you know that? Oh, he did tell me. I apologize. He did tell me.
Guys, remember when you go to speak, press the button on your mic.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready, Alan.
Okay. Okay, good evening, everybody. We're going to start the public hearing for the 2023-2024 visual budgets. So, first of all, thank you all for being here. It's great to see a very big crowd. It's awesome when you see people involved, in their direct taxes in the future. Okay, so I'll just start by giving a brief overview, and then I'm going to let the first selectman talk, and also the superintendent, and then we'll take our public forum, and we'll go from there. Okay, so the good news, this year we saw a decent sized increase to our grant list. For those who don't know, our grant list is essentially the list of taxable properties in our town, and that's how we come up with our mill rate. We saw an increase of approximately $675,000 of tax revenue, which is excellent. That's all new construction. So that's good news to the town, certainly. The negatives when it comes to revenue, as of now, the state has cut our ACS funding, which is educational cost sharing funding, by about $50,000 this year and $50,000 next year. The half good news on that is there's talk within the legislature to reinstate that, but $100,000 when we're really trying to finish Chinese is tough for a town like ours. The state also cut our pilot funding, which is payment in lieu of taxes, by about $23,000 this year. It's essentially state-owned land, the state forest, stuff like that. They cut that. For the reason behind those cuts, I honestly, unfortunately, don't know. Okay, so we were given obviously two budgets: Board of Education and the town operating budget. So we'll start with Board of Education. Board of Education presented a budget with an increase looking for 4.9%, which equates to $1.45 million. The main thing driving that increase were contractual obligations, salary increase, to the tune of $667,000. Health insurance to the tune of $278,000. And quite a bit of increased transportation costs to the tune of about $363,000. So again, that's the Board of Education asked for a 4.9% increase. The town budget asked for an increase of, and I'm sorry, I don't have the here somewhere. Eric, what's the total Board of Education budget?
Total Board of Education budget, they're requesting $31,114,601.
Excellent, thank you. The town asked for an increase of 6.18%. That's an increase of about $600,000. Again, it's the same thing there, really. It's contractual increases, union increases, increased health insurance, that kind of thing. Okay, so after we got these budgets, we had many meetings. The Board of Finance has discussed these at length with all the departments and figureheads. And as a board, again, I want to stress that this is all tentative, nothing is set in stone. This is why we have a public hearing, so we can get input from our taxpayers and interested parties. And then we can make an educated decision after the fact. The current stance of the Board of Finance, and so all in all, the numbers break down to, if we use the increased revenue, our increased tax revenue, the increase we're looking at is approximately $1.3 million year over year for both the budgets combined. The Board of Finance tentatively is considering using a portion of our reserve fund. So for those who don't know, our undesignated reserve fund with last year's budget percentage. So there's a town ordinance where it needs to be in between 2% of the budget. The low number is 8.5%. That's the minimum we can have in our reserve fund. The maximum is 17%. And our reserve currently sits at 18.28%. And that is for last fiscal year. So needless to say, that's a good problem to have, because that means we have quite a bit of money in our reserve fund. So the Board of Finance is going to attempt to do two things to get the mill rate increase as close to zero, hopefully knock on wood zero as we can, and that's by number one, use some of our reserve funds. We've thrown some numbers around. I think we currently sit at 750,000 approximately out of that, but again, not set in stone. And number two, we asked the Board of Education and the Board of Selectmen, the town, who makes up the town budget, to cut the increase to their budget ask. The Board of Education, we asked two scenarios in which one, they would cut their increase $600,000, and the other scenario would be cut their increase by $400,000. Again, nothing set in stone. This is just a scenario to see what they would cut if that was to happen. Number two, we asked the town to two scenarios in which one was to cut it, correct me if I'm wrong, $100,000 and $60,000. And so they have both met, and our meeting Thursday, they will come to us with those cuts, those projected cuts, and then we will make our decision after that. So without further ado, I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to cover off the top of my head. I will, if I can think of anything else that's prominent, I will stop. Oh, I just thought of one thing. So we have another good news story on the horizon, hopefully, and it could affect this budget, and that is the fact that for those of you that don't know, we got awarded a bond by the state of Connecticut to help fill the gap for the senior center shortfall, in the tune of $1 million. It's $1.2 million. Knock on wood, this process is going somewhat smoothly. It's the best we could ask when it comes to a state, bureaucracy and such, but Knock on wood, if we get that money, that would add, after paying off some of these senior center expenses, $700,000 to reserve, which was obviously excellent, and amazing for this town. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll ask Sean McKenna, the super, or Dana, you want to go first? Yeah, go ahead, Dana. Dana, we'll talk, first selectman, we'll talk about the town budget, and then I'll have Sean talk about the board of education.
Okay. So for those of you that were here, just a bit ago, I gave you a demonstration of where we are with the town budget and where we typically are with the town budget. I set up my $1,000 camera that is attached to a laptop that is my work laptop. So eventually we will have that available for other committees to use when we get a laptop. But we're at a stage where we can't even spend the funds because we need to wait till the end of the fiscal year to get another laptop and then get people available to, or trained on doing this. So hopefully this will pick up for us, but that's kind of where we are with the town. I wanted to share some information. You all have this handout that is available up here. The budget for Griswold has the lowest town operating budget on the eastern side of Connecticut. There's 36 towns. In Wyndham County and in New London County combined, our operating budget for the town is 13.62% of the budget. So we have a $40 million budget, as you just heard the chairman say, but we're looking at $7 million of that would go to the town. The majority of the towns have a 20% budget compared to our $13.62 million budget. Revenues, the tax collector brings in more money than anybody in the town. We have a tax collector that is an elected official like all of the people here, like I am. And in cutting our budget, we're having to look at potentially cutting the raises for the people that are elected in town. Because we're not contractually obligated to them. We're contractually obligated to the union. Some of the people that have contracts in town get automatic raises of 2.5% this year. The total that's brought into the town is $27 million. Some of that is taxes, some of that comes from federal and state government, some of that is fees. And the tax collector collects $24 million of that. And the total brought in by the school is $13 million. So when that's combined, you can see right there, it's $40 million, and that's the budget that we are both asking for. Your next slide is priorities for residents. I did a non-scientific poll on Facebook to try to gather some information from people about what they thought was important. And we came up with road maintenance and repair, parks and recreation activities, economic development, senior center activities, and better communication. On your next slide, the town is looking at being able to pick up some of these items by utilizing ARPA funds. We're trying to hold on to the rest of our ARPA funds. We have about 1.6 million left, I believe. Just in case we need that to push along the water portion of the water and sewer infrastructure we're doing. We're looking at potentially with the board of selectmen, looking at ARPA funds for communication and for the software the building department needs. Capital improvement, which I think that Jim Barney will talk to us about, the chair of our capital improvement committee will talk about roads. We started on bike, but we still need more recreational funds for our youth. And we will not be able to address more open hours of the transportation this year or trash pickup, as I've spoken to a lot of people about, just because of the cost of trash pickup in the whole part of Connecticut right now. So then the breakdown of the town budget is 13.62 for operating, it's 5.72 for debt service, and it's 3.76 of the 40 million for capital, which means the town operates with less than a quarter of the budget. We are concerned about further reductions to the town. We are kind of going by the skin of our teeth right now. Let me explain debt service to you. Debt service, for people that don't know, is to pay off the debts that we have, whether that's debts as far as town buildings or as far as roof costs for the school or gas lines for the school or the upcoming community multi-purpose field. So the debt service comes from the town budget right now. If we were to include the debt service that is school related, they would be, they owe about $1.7 million a year for school related debt. The town owes about $600,000 a year for school related debt at this point. That would raise the school budget to about 80% and the town budget would be about 20%. So for town employee raises and for what we are looking for raises for the budget, The contractual obligations this year are 2.5% for nearly all. We are not asking for that for this first elected position. We have 3 employees in town who will get an extra $1 per hour because they're kind of behind the other assistant, and then they get 2.5% on top of that. So that's $48,000 total that we are asking for all of the raises for people in town. That's for 36 employees. 36 that work in the town, that work in public works, that work at the senior center, the youth center, et cetera. On the page that is upcoming, these are items we have not put in the budget. We don't put these in the budget for the town because we know we don't have the funds for them. But human resources, we don't have human resources in town. I know the school doesn't either, but it's Tuesday night. I've already had 2 HR issues this week and I have 2 that fit the HR issues. There's a lot that Eric and I have to balance between each other to try and take care of some of these issues. We don't have on-site IT. We have a great company that supports the town, but we don't have anybody on site. We do not have a custodial assistant. We have 5 buildings. We have the town hall, we have the senior center, the youth center, public works, and Patchogue Town Hall. Old Patchogue Town Hall is rented out to people. It doesn't get much use. We have a custodian that works 35 hours a week. That's it. So you can imagine that those buildings do not get covered by a custodian. We're not able to hire a state trooper. I have had in the last 2 weeks since construction is ramping up, calls and emails and texts from dozens and dozens of people right now who live on Bethel Road or near Bethel Road, and trucks are going up and down starting at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm having to deal with that, but I don't have a state trooper that I can call and say, hey, can you watch these trucks? However, I have talked to somebody today that's gonna work on trying to get somebody out there, but we don't have that funded and we didn't ask for it. I'm not gonna read the rest of those. You can see all the types of positions we've talked about. So we don't even bother putting in the budget because we know we can't do it. The next page is something that we desperately need, which I didn't put in the budget because we did not have our assessment. It is the upgraded cybersecurity to the tune of $13,000 to $40,000. This should be completed as soon as possible. And I would ask the board of finance to put that into the budget. We need that. I'm not going to go over the cuts, but I included on the handout the $60,000 cuts we have to make and the $100,000 cuts we have to make. And the takeaways from this is the town of Griswold includes revenues from taxes, from fees, from state and local sources. We operate on less than 15% of the budget to serve 11,407 people. In addition, the town takes in approximately $47 million in taxes and fees and government money, and we operate on 7 million of those. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ann. Jim, would you like to go next?
I do. I want to focus on capital improvement committee, which is part of the town budget. I want to thank the board of selectmen and the board of finance for sending this budget to the taxpayers for the comment. The capital committee would also like to thank the taxpayers for approving the increased funding provided for capital improvements over the last 3 years. Our budget has been slowly climbing up, and I'll get to that in a little bit later. However, with recent increases, we are failing to provide enough funding to maintain the equipment and infrastructure in a prudent manner. Currently, the total request amount this year is $1,506,907. This is a bare bones budget and is inadequate to maintain the town's infrastructure. For example, the condition of the roads in the town and the borough is one item most often we hear complaints about. And I guess that was established by the poll that managers spoke about. We hear an awful lot of complaints about that. So back in 2016, the town commissioned a road study. At that time, the recommendation was to fund the roads at $1 million a year. Other than the last year or two, we've never come close to the $1 million a year. And of course, that million needs to climb every year due to inflation. The most recent road study, which I have here, was conducted in 2022, and that showed a decline in our road surface rating of 2 points over the previous 5 years. If we fund the roads at $1 million per year for the next 5 years, the will remain above where it currently is. The real problem comes in 2027. And that is when our roads are gonna start to go down the road. And what that means, Laura, is that instead of being able to do preventive maintenance and minor maintenance, we're gonna be into major rehabilitation at $40 a square yard in current prices as opposed to anywhere from 60 cents to $80 for some of the less expensive things. If we fund the roads at 1.25 million annually in constant dollars, we will regain the 2 points we've lost in the last 5 years. In actuality, to get back to where we were, we need to spend 1.35 million annually to get back to where we were in the road surface rating in 2016. From the most recent study, the estimated cost of necessary repairs is $13.5 million before factoring in inflation. If we amortize this over a 10-year period, we'll need to be spending $1.35 million per year in constant dollars. At 7% inflation, which is probably not unreasonable going forward from this particular point, the cost will increase to nearly $20 million over 10 years as opposed to the $13.5 million needed now currently. I want to make it very clear, the funding I'm talking about up to this point is only for maintaining our road system. It does not include the capital expenses for the school or the town buildings and equipment, nor does it include funding for the public works or the fire department equipment. The backlog on public works equipment that we've been trying to buy over, as long as I've been on the capital committee, which is probably over 12 years now. We're backlogged by over $1 million that we just keep pushing forward into the future. In addition, there's another 1.95 million scheduled to be replaced in the next 5 years. This totals $2.95 million or $590,000 annually in additional funding. There is a $1.5 million backlog in equipment for the fire department to be replaced over the next 5 years, on $307,000 annually. The total replacement for public works and fire department equipment in the next 5 years is $4.85 million, or almost $900,000 annually. With a road expense of $1.35 million added to the $897 for equipment, the annual funding requirement is approaching $2.25 million, or over $11 million over the next 5 years. And this does not include a ladder fire truck due for replacement 10 years from now, at somewhere about $1.5 million. Over the last 3 years, the price of 6-wheel dump trucks and with standard equipment has increased from 175,000 to 250, and I heard we should be thinking about $275,000 for those trucks. It sounds absurd to me that we got to pay that kind of money for a truck or a plow and standard, but that's what it is, and that's the state bid. This year's budget does not fund any other very expensive items such as engine payments for the fire department or dump trucks for public works. Looking forward, the next year's estimated funding requirements will be over $2.15 million, a $593,000 increase or 39% increase over this year's request, not counting maintaining our capital assets is very expensive, but not maintaining them is even more expensive. Thank you.
Good, thank you very much. Sean, the only speaker of the word today.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. I am going to make this short to allow the good people here who have attended this evening to speak. So to provide some highlights, the Griswold Board of Education and I present a budget that supports Griswold Public Schools and the town of Griswold as a desirable community to live, learn, and thrive. The budget preserves programs for children and families with learning options and explorations and positions for the next school year. The budget also addresses the reality of the pandemic learning loss. It supports Griswold Elementary School with strong early childhood and elementary programming, including affordable before and after care for working families. It supports the Griswold Middle School with strong middle year programming, including academic, advanced academic, extracurricular, and athletic opportunities. It supports Griswold High School with strong academic, athletic, extracurricular, pre-college, pre-career programs for all of Griswold students and for students from 7 tuition towns that send their students here on tuition that goes to the revenue. It projects this budget for an additional $300,000 in tuition revenue for the 2023-2024 school year, totaling $2.7 million. 30% of our employees are Griswold residents, and our district and campus proudly functions as a welcoming community center for town programs, for youth programs, and for all of you to enjoy. All of our budget materials are online, and if anybody needs a hard copy, please contact us. We will print all the materials for you. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan. Okay, we're now open up to public forum. When anyone wishes to speak, in the back, first, and I think a lot of people want to speak, so if you could just keep it to a reasonable amount of time, that'd be.
Oh, it might be. Sorry.
You want to make sure they know their name.
Oh, yeah, can you please state your name and that?
Sure. My name is Melissa Rubin, I live at 10 English Court. I'm a 15-year resident of Bristol, a newbie, if you will. I'm also a booster club officer, a former PTO chair, and a volunteer for countless local causes such as GMS soccer, DHS lacrosse, etc. So I'm involved in a lot I don't know how to say no. What I want to say was the past 3 years I've taught business education at GHS for grades 9 through 12, as well as served as senior class advisor. Most importantly, I'm a proud parent of 2 GHS students, Maddie, who's a junior, and Sophia, who's a freshman. I stand before you as a taxpayer, employee, and parent, asking that you reconsider the hypothetical education cuts that you were tasking the board with at this time. From what I understand, it's $400,000 and $600,000. In the past years, our students have experienced a truly remarkable educational experience. I'm a little nervous, sorry. I've been talking for the meeting there, but this is so senior classes experienced 4 very unique years due to the pandemic, starting in March 2020. And while the adults in the building worked tirelessly to provide a normal post-pandemic educational experience at the time, the residual effects of pandemic closures, cohorting, mask wearing, and such still underscore the educational setting are glaringly obvious for our younger students. Teachers work to bring students up to speed because despite our best efforts, online learning was not the way to go. We have started to make gains, but like any recovery, especially in the minds, the path is not linear. In my classroom, that many of my colleagues who work to rebuild rigor, high expectations, and reinstill a love for learning. Programs that build on our vision as a graduate have been implemented to the point that other schools are coming to remove the school we've implemented. But what does that have to do with money? We need to maintain the staff and maintain the programs such as electives, such as interventionists at all schools, such as athletics, such as social emotional learning, such as extracurricular activities, all things that I've been told are on the chopping block. These programs keep kids in school and work to build well-rounded individuals. We need to keep meeting kids where they are. And to be frank, we're expecting kids to get pre-pandemic results when that's not what we're getting in our classrooms. To cut staff would mean less hands on deck. And lastly, I ask you to consider this. GHS has exceeded their projected revenues by approximately $352,000 at fiscal year end 2022. Alone, yet this money is deposited into the general fund. How is it that we can keep pushing revenue year after year for taxes cuts? Hey, I fund my own classroom activities, I'm buying food for my kids, I'm buying supplies. We're not unique, we're all teachers across the board doing that. So please reconsider the cut for our educational budget. Teachers are working hard to critical kids to that, but without the funding, we lose ground at this time and we need to be working towards the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Melissa Russell, I live at 2309 Glasgow Road in Bridgeton. I'm the secretary for Brooklyn High School, but more importantly, I'm a taxpayer and a parent of 2 high school students. I have the unique perspective of seeing our schools through the eyes of an employee as well as the eyes of a parent that wants the best possible education for my children. In my opinion, this makes me qualified to tell you that we have some of the most dedicated, caring, amazing teachers in the world. Teachers that come in early and stay late for students that need them. Staff and faculty continuously come together to help students in need. My son is a senior and has struggled big with his decisions for next year. In part due to encouragement from some of his teachers, he is just committed to UConn Hickory Point and will be continuing his basketball career. For a student like him, the extracurricular opportunities he had at GHS are what made high school experience success for him. My daughter is a two-sport athlete and avid member of the GHS Chamber Choir and GHS Drama, as well as a high honor student. Teaches her not only to manage her time, but gives her every opportunity in keeping her competitive in her college pursuit. In short, cutting positions and extracurricular opportunities for our students will negatively impact them. It puts them at a disadvantage compared to their peers at other schools. As an administrative assistant, I can tell you that we recently have restructuring in our office at Bristol High School, and that's due to the increasing number of inquiries from setting towns and new registrations. GPS is growing, and more students and their families are realizing the difference in our education approach. They appreciate that when their child comes into the office, we know their name, and their teacher knows when they're struggling with something outside of the classroom. That personal touch is another aspect that really makes us special. As we continue to grow, we need all hands on deck to give our students the educational experience they deserve. Thank you.
Dr. Jennifer Norman, 257 Norman Road in Griswold. For 7 years, the Griswold Public Schools, under the direction of the Superintendent of Schools and the Board of Education, have actively and with fervor pursued tuition-paying partner towns to help stabilize and mitigate the impact of contractual increases in the Board of Education operating budget, while also growing programming, improving instruction, and crafting strong learning opportunities for our students from Griswold as partnering towns. In total, tuition revenue today has generated $15.6 million over a 7-year period for the town, not the school system. All of this money goes to the town's general fund, the general fund that is now richly supplied from the tuition revenue generated by service provided by the schools. The advertised programming, such as small class sizes, honors programming, technology forward curriculum, extracurricular opportunities through sports and music, and a strong teaching faculty are attractive to our tuition partners. These partners, in turn, write us a check to educate their students, and we, in turn, spend that money on other managerial items related to the town. The ECS dollars, money provided by the state of Connecticut attached to each tuitioning student and meant to pay the cost of educating said students, are spent on non-educational expenses. Cutting the school's budget, whether it's $400,000 or $600,000, impacts the goods and services that are promised to the town that choose to partner with us and shortchange our own students. The proposed cuts threaten the carefully cultivated relationships with our tuitioning partners who have the rightful expectation that we deliver what we advertise. They pay for those services and we are obliged to provide them. At this time, it makes little sense for the Board of Finance to underfund and cut the largest revenue generator for the town, and worse yet, to jeopardize the future dollars that could be realized with continued tuitioning partnership and potential tuitioning relationships going forward. Educational dollars need to be spent on education. Money allocated and allotted for school needs to be spent on school.
Real quick, go ahead. I just want to say something. So just so everyone's clear, and there's been a lot of confusion in my time in Board of Finance, so the tuition money is not just siphoned off to the town and put in the general fund. That's not how it works. We use that money as a revenue to then offset the taxes that we would collect that we need to operate the school in town. So it's not true that we just siphon the money off and it's put in the general fund. We use that money to fund the school, etc. Go ahead.
My name is Jennifer Bush. My address is 23 Hillview Heights.
I am a Griswold resident, Griswold alum, parent to two Griswold students, and a paraeducator at Griswold High School. I am on both the high school's SEL Social and Emotional Learning Committee and the district's Equity Committee. I'm fully invested in our district's success in various roles and support the budget. As a paraeducator, I support students with IEPs or individual education plans in general education classrooms to make sure they receive the assistance they require for their IEP. Each student has a different set of modifications and necessities to successfully move from class to class. In many of my classes, I'm assigned to 4 or 5 students, all on different levels academically and behaviorally within the same class. Many of my students have intricate backgrounds in varying emotional and social struggles. Many face food and home insecurity, ECF issues, and mental health battles. This job is important and it is not easy. I'm one person. When I have 5 students with 5 sets of very different needs that I'm required to assist, I am not able to do what I am meant to do and what I want to do. Some need to be read to, some need to take space, some need me to write or type their answers for their assignments. I can only do one of these things at a time. Most classes have only one paraeducator, not because they don't want to, but because that's what we have. So my experience is not isolated. We need more of us in the classrooms as it is. With the possibility of larger class sizes next year, thus having more students needing support and a shortage of support staff, our kids, whether they fall under the special education sphere or not, will undoubtedly suffer. Our teachers and support staff will suffer. The school climate, which is already strained, will suffer. Please remember that I am speaking not only as an employee of the district, but also as a mother to 2 boys within it. I don't want my students nor my sons to suffer. Budget cuts will not allow for more support staff. I'm grateful for my employment because I'm able to positively influence the school system that I attended, that my kids attend, and that I love so very much, and may very well not be asked back next year being a new hire if the cuts are made. As a paraeducator, I am highly concerned about the way our classrooms will function next year. We're already working with less than what we have now will be detrimental and produce unfavorable outcomes felt by all students, staff, parents, and guardians alike. In several of my classes, I feel like this is important. In several of my classes, I am split. I start the class in one room, learn the lesson for the day, leave halfway to go to the other class where the lesson has been taught, but the application of the lesson I wasn't present for is occurring. My students are not getting the help that they need and deserve and require for half the class because of numbers. Numbers should not negatively alter our students' learning experience. To be very frank, simply fulfilling the legal requirement of having a parent in the room for a certain amount of minutes is not student support, and that is my job, not to be a body. A budget cut will prevent all of us from effectively doing our jobs, thus affecting the ability for our students to thrive. I care, my colleagues care. Teachers and support staff and school staff should be paid adequately. Our schools should be funded adequately. This ensures that we can do what we are here to do, educate our community's children in a safe and supported environment. Please recognize that the importance of this budget to hold our district and our kids up instead of breaking them down. Remember that the numbers in the statistics are more than the spreadsheets and the documents that they appear on. They are humans. Thank you.
Mary Beth Nail, 11 East Lot Trail, Chair for the Board of Education. The Griswold Board of Education budget is a budget crafted on the needs of the students and not the wants, while being mindful to the taxpayers of Griswold. The Board of Education has a unique piece of the budget. And we have tuition partnership with 7 towns. Recently, there was an article in the Day newspaper that was shared with the Board of Finance last week, and the subject of the article was that Norwich Public Schools eliminated 3 tuition towns from the list of options for their students. However, Griswold Public Schools remained on the list. The decision is based on the fact that we offer quality education in a small school setting to the students. This school year, Norwich Public Schools paid us $965,000 in tuition, and now we anticipate the numbers will only increase due to the limited options for Norwich students. This was great news for Griswold. However, this is another reason we must support the budget for 2023-2024. If we have a reduction in the budget, then we will not be able to provide the services for the students, for all students that we educate, and that will put us in jeopardy of a loss of revenue. Tuition from the tuition towns has only increased over the years. This year, we projected 2.4 million. And we have roughly exceeded it by $300,000. The last 5 years, tuition overages from what we projected is $1,095,078. The Board of Education is happy to generate tuition for the town, but again, we must provide for all the students. If we start reductions, we will not meet the students' needs and lose tuition revenue. A few months ago, I emailed Eric Christensen, Finance Director for the town of Griswold, and asked him what the mill rate would look like if we didn't have 2.4 million from this tuition revenue this year. He stated that the mill rate would increase 2.7 mils, which would leave us a mill rate of 27.77. Example, my house alone would see an increase of $445 in taxes. The tuition revenue is extremely important to offset the mill rate in this town. At the Board of Finance meeting the other night, we were asked to complete a task showing what $400,000 and $600,000 in cuts would look like. Those numbers are devastating to Griswold Public Schools. There will be reductions in programs, sports, job loss to approximately 11 employees. It is not a simple task when laying off happens, as unemployment benefits will have to be paid, as well as larger class sizes, less employees to meet the needs of all students, and the morale of the staff will decline. The Griswold Public Schools mission statement begins with, Griswold Public Schools educates for excellence. This is only possible by supporting the 2023-2024 school budget that has been approved by the Griswold Board of Education. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ty Roby. I don't live in town. I've taught here 35 years, so I'm going to apply for an honorary residency. I'm president of the Griswold Teachers Union, whose members teach and care for the children of Griswold by day. Actually, late into the day, as I heard the patter of middle school runners from track running by my window, and the sound sounded exciting. I hope we won a little cross game going on across the street. It goes without saying how important it is to keep kids busy and engaged at this time. So I'm here to support the modest budget as proposed by the Board of Education. I want to thank the board for their tireless effort in developing a reasonable budget in these challenging economic times. I'd also like to thank the Board of Finance for their work on the budget process and the time they take to weigh all interests to determine the right fiscal path forward, especially at this unique moment. I feel this budget keeps necessary programming in place that helps address learning loss and the social emotional needs of our students. Unfortunately, the greater the difficulty the students are having coping with whatever might be going on at the moment, the harder it is for them to catch up and move forward academically, a challenge all teachers are facing. We're hoping class size can remain reasonable at the elementary school, so these students start their education on the right track. At the high school, we want to continue to offer courses and extracurriculars to continue to make our high school a highly sought after school to attend. At the middle school, we hope to continue meeting students' academic and emotional needs by providing skills for them to be successful at the high school level and beyond. And with the many school and community events that take place on this beautiful campus year round, it's not an overstatement to say that our students and schools are the heart and soul of this great community. And please consider an education budget that meets their needs at this moment in time. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Ray Churchill, 150 Bitgood Road. Thank you for providing this forum for us to speak tonight. It's nice to see so many familiar faces and friends. A lot of folks have echoed some of the points that I would have been making, but I just pretty much want to say, I this is my personal opinion, how I go about it. Whatever budget comes up for the town or the school, I vote yes. I just vote yes. I don't want to argue over what's more important, a special ed teacher or a pothole. They're all important and they're all expensive. And we have an opportunity here to keep our town going in the right direction in many ways. I'll always vote yes because it's an investment. And if the budgets pass, we're investing in our future. Even if it raises our mill rate a little bit, we're gonna get it back. It comes back to us in the form of enrollment in the school. We're making the town more appealing for people to move in. Our enrollment this year went up 10% at the high school. It went from roughly 500 students to roughly about 550. Those are ballpark numbers, but they're really close. And by next year, we're gonna be over 6. I'm a firm believer that we'll be over 600 people. We'll gain 100 students, 1/6 of our school by next school year. GHS returns an increasingly impressive amount of money back to the town, and Alex summed it up for us how that all gets spent, but it's going up to 2.9 million, I think, is the surplus this year, and it will only get higher next year, like we started in close to our 600 student mark. In addition, 52% of our students have an IEP, individual educational plan. That's expensive. We have a lot of kids that have individual needs, and not only is it expensive for serving them, but we're getting a very good reputation. We've always had a great reputation for our special ed department and helping kids with particular needs. So more of those kids are coming into our town, from a sending town, at an increased rate from what a general student would be. So when we have that many IEPs and that many individual educational plans, it's costly. 52%, over half of our high school student body has an individual educational plan that has to be serviced and monitored by staff. So, it is what it is, but it's an expensive thing. As a school, what I ask, we're rolling. Our school district is rolling finally after COVID. We're doing good things again. We're getting back to where we were. We're attracting people from outside. We're getting our reputation back for excellence. Just let our excellence and the new field complex that was great that the town voted in, let it do what it's supposed to be doing, and that's increasing our enrollment, increasing our income into the surplus for the town. And we can't attract people and fulfill our obligation to them if we are not as excellent as we say we are. We all know we are. We live in this town. Everybody's kids have gone through the school district. We know what we do around here. And if we take a step backwards, that's going to limit the number of people that will ever come into our town. So we have to make sure that we're always going forward. Been here almost 30 years. My daughter's a freshman, and we are finally rolling. We're attracting and retaining students. Some of the students that we lost last year to BOAG schools are coming back. Some of the students that we lost to tech schools, they're coming back next year because the grass is not always greener. And we provide a pretty darn good product here. So there's more money in our pocket. Since Superintendent McKenna and Mrs. Flonin started overseeing things on this campus, we've been focusing on marketing. We've been pushing. We've been best hire they made in the last 10 years, 5 years, was Kayla Hedman, our marketing assistant. She shows everybody what we're capable of doing. So the school system, we're pushing for it. We're not sitting back and waiting for a handout. We're going to try to make our own money and get our own kids and be able to put a surplus back into the town budget and to let us be able to afford the things that we need to go forward. This is not, we're not buying Griswold High School windbreakers for all the faculty. This is everything going to kids and what we need to do to make it happen. Education is a business now. It's a competitive business. We gotta beat Woodstock. And we have to beat the tech schools, and we have to beat the BOAG schools that have great football programs. We have to beat everybody to get the kid to come here. So that we can keep providing what we have to do. Just help us to continue to keep showing everybody who we are around here and what we're capable of. I taught here, as I said, taught here for 30 years. I moved into town so my daughter could go to these schools. We used to live in Plainfield, and I moved in about 15 years ago, so my daughter could go to these schools. I'm incredibly proud of it. I got 3 to 4 years left before I retire, and I just want to keep pushing and go out on a high note, because I truly firmly believe in what we do on this campus. And I love this town, and I want every pothole fixed, and I want everybody happy, and every improvement that we make in the town or the campus or the schools is an investment into what's going to pay dividends down the line. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Ego, 85 Poplar Ridge Road. I'm as frugal as anyone. I don't want to spend a cent more than I have to on anything. At the same time, I'm happy to pay what something is truly worth. So when we look at the initially proposed Board of Education budget, we see a small increase of 4.9%. I think it's important to recognize that although it does represent an increase, it's an increase that's below the rate of inflation. It's below the increase of neighboring districts. It's below the increase of statewide districts of similar size. And at the same time, we're educating our students at a per capita rate that is also below neighboring districts and below statewide districts of similar size. I think at some point, you just have to stand in awe of how well these folks are managing our tax dollars. And so yes, our taxes may go up, but I'm happy to pay this relatively small increase in my tax bill because I recognize the real value that it represents. I also think it's important to note that Crystal Public Schools is not just a consumer of tax dollars, they're also revenue generators. It's likely that tuition revenue will approach $3 million next year. This tuition is from students who are coming here precisely because of the services we provide and the programs we offer. The Board of Ed budget represents an investment that results in a sizable rate of return. If we cut our investment, we will cut our rate of return, probably exponentially. I implore the Board of Finance to accept the Board of Ed budget as initially proposed.
Anyone else?
My name is Stuart Norman Jr., 270 Bethel Road, Griswold. I'm a proud graduate of Griswold Elementary School and Griswold High School. Served on the Board of Ed for over 28 years. And with that being said, I'm going to give you a thought. It's not original to me. I don't know who to attribute it to, but I would just like you all to think about it when you're considering our budget. This is the thought. The school budget is not about spending money. It's about investing in our kids' success. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, good evening. My name is Melissa Brady. I'm a speech pathologist at Griswold Elementary School. I don't live in town, and while I could just kind of stay here and say, so everyone has already said, I did write down a few thoughts that I'd like to share. I am speaking in favor of putting the budget that's presented forward. I do think that we need to do our best for our students and provide, them with the best education they had in this challenging economic times. I firmly believe that in this community, the school really should be a resource to our town families. We should lessen any obstacles to get our children through the doors and help them be successful when they're within our goals. Our job is to teach the students we have, and that means in order to be ready to learn, we must address any learning obstacles they have. Their needs are not always straightforward, and we must be able to have a budget to address the underlying challenges. Being ready to learn requires a significant amount of attention, cognitive skills, sensory processing skills, language skills, nutrition and safety needs, social emotional skills. And we need to ensure that we are encouraging, and to be honest, sometimes we're actually establishing some of these foundational needs and skills, not just encouraging them. And this requires not only our regular education teachers to do this, but also our specialized staff, our special education teachers, our special programs that we have, and a number of skilled trained paraeducator staff to help address all of these needs. In this community, we have a number of students in low-income families, an increased number of students who have experienced trauma. We know these students, and we know that there are students in this district who have parents that are illiterate. Research tells us that these students struggle to engage in classrooms because of their differences in health and nutrition, differences in vocabulary, differences in effort, their differences in coping and distress, their differences in hope and having a growth mindset, and an overall difference in their relationships. Being at school is their opportunity to close these gaps, and we need a budget that supports all of these students. In the past, I've spoken at a few of these hearings, as often the budget has had a negative effect for our earliest learners, which is my passion area. So I always take an opportunity to plug our early learners and early intervention and special education. At our preschool level, we currently have about 30 special education students at our grade level. 12 of those students were identified through our program screening process, and these are students that were known in the community of having needs. Once they came in, they joined our program as a peer, they could have been identified, and a couple of them, their parents called and said, I have some concerns, the pediatrician told me to wait and see, but I think there might be something worth exploring. If we didn't have our programs, the staff that we have, they could be missed. So we are really grateful that they chose to come to our virtual early education program. And while, as it's been said, they might be a little bit more expensive to educate, all of these students have learned amazing pre-academic and social language skills because of our teachers and paraeducators and the other students in the program. They've learned basic life skills, how to follow directions, how to listen to the teacher, how to share, how to take care of their belongings, and how to communicate basic wants and needs. We have one little friend who's 4.5, who just this year, for the very first time, was able to ask his parent for a snack or for a toy functionally. And that's because of the hard work that our staff has put in, and we need all of them there to have this success. I believe it takes a village to raise a child. I think that we are that village. These students are our family. We are a community, and we need to support these students and address their needs like you would your own child or grandchild. If you had a child or a grandchild that needed glasses to see better, you wouldn't hesitate to give them glasses. Glasses that they specifically need, that are individual to them, not over-the-counter readers or a magnifying glass. Our students, with an increasing number of them, to be successful require our specialized programming, our incredible support staff, alternate learning spaces, equipment, many other things in order for them to learn and be successful, to become more independent and contributing members of our community. We need to support these students. They are our family. We are their glasses. Please do not ask us to be cheerleaders or mentoring classes.
Get it going.
My name is Nathan Moore. I reside in Preston. I teach in the high school, I teach Spanish. I think everybody tonight, thank you so much, everybody, for showing up. You did such a good job speaking up here in favor of the proposal. Of course, I'm in favor of the proposal. What you'll notice is there's no fact in the proposal. The proposal was done with transparency, taking into account economic challenges that we're facing, but also to maintain what we have. And what we have is a good school system that everybody has spoken about this evening in a very concrete way, more than I can do at this moment, because they've spoken so well. There's nothing in the budget that's extra. There's no fat to cut. So it may sound like $400,000 or $600,000 out of the total budget sounds like a little amount. But what it is it's the ball rolling in the wrong direction, that there's a gravity to it, and that it compiles over the years. We don't want that to happen. We don't want that to slip away. We want to keep what we have. So I want to thank the Board of Finance for having the forum tonight so that we could address it. I want to thank Superintendent McKenna and all those who showed up tonight in support of the proposal and all the hard work they've done. And really, it's a good proposal that I think the Board of Finance should just say, let's put forward to the voters. It's good enough to put forward to the voters and let the voters decide. I think that's the way to handle it. I hope you consider doing that.
Hi, everyone, Jason Cabinet, to Jennifer Lane Griswold. I am the Wolverine Forward Director for GPS, but today I'm speaking as a taxpayer and a parent of two GPS youth, kindergartner and a third grader. My girls are just starting their educational career, and one of the biggest reasons my husband and I chose to move here and buy a home here was so we could raise our kids in this educational system. Because of the magnitude potentially being asked for, we felt in each building would have a negative impact on our children and on the overall quality of education here in Griswold. We'd be cutting positions, cutting services, cutting programs. This is not the quality of education I moved here for. It's not the quality of education I want for my children or for the other children in the community that I care about. I think moving forward with cutting the education budget is a big mistake and a sad day for Griswold. The Board of Ed isn't asking for anything outlandish. The increase is consistent or less than other surrounding towns. And I want to state my full support for the Board of Ed budget that was initially put forward. Thank you.
Hi, Sherry Marchand, 295 Good Road in Griswold. I didn't prepare anything, so I'm just gonna tell you that I am in full support of the Board of Ed the budget for the town. I have moved to Griswold myself 15 years ago for the school system. I have 3 children. One of them is in high school at a tech school, and my other 2 are going to Griswold High School. But I have to tell you, they're on the line because of different items that may be cut, and you get what you pay for. And we are investing in our kids, and we have the extra money that I think we should dip into and take from, and I'm all for putting myself out there and helping out where I can. I do the PTO, my kids and I walk up and down the street, pick up garbage. This is our town, we're very proud of it. I think we need to take care of it because it's a reflection of us, and we do need to invest in our kids. Thank you. Terry Cleveland, 113 Lincoln Drive. I want to share my full support for the education and the town budget. I feel as though the Board of Finance, the Board of Education, Superintendent, Administrator, town boards do a spectacular job servicing our community, and I thank you for that. That said, I think that the cuts that are being asked by the Board of Finance are detrimental to our town and to our school system. Our kids deserve every penny that is in that budget. Our staff deserve their pay increases contractually. We're dealing in an economic moment where all of us are seeing increases in our budget. I know it costs more to put electricity and oil right in my house. So imagine the magnitude of taking care of these buildings. We're going to see an increase. That said, I understand the concerns about the mill rate increasing, but I would rather pay a little bit incrementally as a taxpayer than to get nailed, see it go backwards educationally or capital, and then get nailed 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the road. We all love this community, or else we wouldn't be here. I asked the Board of Finance to reconsider dipping in to that account that Alex so eloquently explained to us about. I think that the Board of Education brings in that revenue, doesn't just spend our tax money, and sometimes you need to be able to give back a little bit, and I would request that you consider that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Madeline Wooten. I live at Penn Court.
I'm a student at GHS, I'm a junior. I can't come up here and tell you numbers and all that stuff because I've been busy being a student. But I'm very grateful for all the programs that we have at Griswold High School. I was involved in the spring musical. I'm a tri-sport athlete. I play soccer, basketball, and I'm in track right now. But I can tell you, these hypothetical cuts will really hinder the ability of all our students at Griswold Public Schools to really flourish and blossom and become the kids that, you know, come out of Griswold. So I just really ask them to consider that when they're thinking. So thank you.
Right, I'll switch to.
So, Louis Miko, 39 Day Street, City, Connecticut. First of all, the well-crafted speeches that all the people gave are incredible, wonderful to see community-wise. I don't have that, I'm gonna lie to you. First of all, Capitol, I'm on Capitol with Jim. Jim's two-page thing is so much better than the 20-minute speech he gave last year. But the committee on its own does its full effort to do what we do. And Jim is right on top telling us what we need to do and how we need to do it. And what we try to cut as a committee is phenomenal what we do on the board. Public works always gets cut, always gets cut, first thing that gets cut. And right down the line. So if you keep capital where it is, it's a step in the right direction for the town, I believe, and in the future. Like Jim said, we're behind the ball, and we're gonna be behind the ball, and hopefully in the future, we'll catch up. It's gonna be a lot of money. Second, with the fire department, I'm with the Jewel City Fire Department. If you cut the town budget, you're gonna cut the fire department budget somewhere along the way, I'm sure. Our recruitment retention budget is way underfunded. Our quotes are coming in, I got a bunch of them today, for stuff coming up in the future, which are like crazy amount, 10-15% more than it was last year, which I did not expect. So we're gonna have to cut here or there to get this stuff done, which we have to do yearly. So if you cut the town, you gotta cut the fire departments, not just mine, Griswold also. I mean, it's a budget that public safety is very important in town. We're hitting 200 calls right now. We're in the beginning of May. So we're on track to hit 800 this year, which is, we had 600 last year. So it's a big step. We have people that volunteer, 38 in our department, 39 as of maybe tonight, so, which is good. So thank you for your help, and if you can, please not cut the town budget and school budget also. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Hello, my name is Nicola Dugas. I'll keep it short and sweet. I live at 708 Ballantine Road. I've been attending this school my entire life. Well, not my entire life. I started in third grade. That's what I was doing also. And I originally attended a different school. I won't speak their name right now, but I really struggled with my grades. And we switched to this school because of their education process. And soon after switching, I was quickly diagnosed with learning disability that was addressed, and the programs that were provided helped me. The teachers were willing to stay after school to help me get this extra care that I needed, and external motivation provided inspiration for me to attend and do well in classes. I'm now going to Eastern to be a teacher, so I can provide the same assistance that I was provided in school to help me catch up and regain my control of my life. And I really think that if you put together this budget and put it towards the students, it's going to impact them directly, and not in a way that's going to impact the town in a way that not everybody may receive the benefits.
Good evening, my name is Kylie Flynn. I reside in Colchester, but I'm a school counselor at Griswold High School. I am also an alum. When I graduated from Griswold High School, I did not anticipate coming back to work in the very place I was raised. What brought me back was my passion for the community and the opportunities that it afforded me.
I'd like to share a brief story from when I was a student. In May of 2014, as a 16-year-old, I stood before this very board and pleaded for the same thing, not to grant cuts to the education budget. This is just prior to the 2014-2015 budget season that took 5 referendums to pass the budget. In the 2014 remarks, I can vividly recall pleading against the anticipated cuts to staffing, programming, and intervention. At the time, I felt deeply that I wanted my younger brother and his peers to have the same opportunities that I did. Griswold was an amazing place from the perspective of a student. I feared that cuts would change that positive perception that I had. Today, I am pleading for the same cause, that you not require cuts to their education budget. Instead, today, I am pleading for the students that I work with each day. By requesting a $400,000 or $600,000 cut to the education budget, this will result in a reduction of staffing, the cutting of programs, and loss of intervention. The progress that we have made with students' preparedness for the college or career setting will be diminished by these cuts. We will be cutting during a moment of time where our enrollment is rising. We will be cutting during a moment of time when we are aiming to recover from learning loss. As I reflect on what made Griswold so great from the perspective of my 16-year-old self, it was not necessarily the things that were provided from the school budget, or rather, it was the staff. Staff made magic happen with little monetary support from the town of Griswold. Staff are still doing this today, but they are tired and cannot sustain the reliance on magic any longer. I am watching many of my former teachers and colleagues leave or consider leaving this district for other districts or even other careers because they cannot bear this burden anymore. Staff are tired of the assumption that cutting programs is fine because teachers will just pick up more of the slack because they want the best for kids. Well, I can tell you that educators do want the best for children. The toxic positivity approach is wearing on us in our passion for this career. Staff plates are full and cannot sustain covering the responsibilities of positions or programs that are cut around them. Simply cutting the education budget will impact staff morale, but more importantly, student outcomes. The current budget proposal already falls below DERG and regional averages. Additional cuts will put us even lower comparatively. Compared to other schools in our DERG, Griswold already finds itself on the lower end of per pupil expenditure. Additional cuts will continue to send the message to our students that they are not worth investing in. I would like to close by thanking the board for the time that you put into this process. Make your time worth it, invest in education. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Leona Sharkey. I live at 11 Lennox Avenue. I'm also the tax collector of the town of Griswold and the borough of Jewett City. I'm up here not to support or go against either one. I just think that this is a public setting and there are people viewing it online as well as people who are present here. So for a better understanding, before the voters do go out to the polls for referendum, I asked, what would the mill rate be if there were no cuts to either budget? Do we have any idea what that number would look like? So people have an idea of what that tax increase would be to them, because there are people in certain demographics who are single, who make minimum wage, there are people who are retired on fixed incomes, there's people who are elderly living also on a fixed income and social security. I work at the tax counter, I hear from a lot of different people, a lot of different scenarios, a lot of concerns, complaints, I hear tears, I hear expletives, I hear all kinds of things at my counter, so I think this is a great platform for people to get all of the information that they need, and that is required for everyone to make an informed decision before they go to the polls and before cuts are made or additions are made or whatever the turnout may be with your board's obviously decision. Do we know what that might be?
Yes, we do. Thank you. So if we simply accepted both budgets as presented, and we didn't take any out of reserve, we just simply passed them, the mill rate increase would be 1.47. Mill rate increase to 1.47. So our new mill rate would be 26.54, which is a increase of 5.86% in the mill rate. A tax increase on a house instead of $150,000 would go up to $221. And a tax increase on a house instead at All right, the first one was $150,000 would go up to $221. The second one, it was said that $200,000 would go up to $294.
Okay, the other part I have sat in on a few of your meetings, as you're well aware. So, the Board of Finance, their intention of wanting to use the money from the undesignated fund balance. And asking for cuts from both the town and the education budget. Please explain to the people the purpose behind that, why the Board of Finance wants to do that.
So essentially, the purpose is to get a mill rate increase of 0. In order to do that, we need to either fund or cut or a combination of both $1.341 million. In order to keep our mill rates at the same, which is 25.7.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your time.
Yes, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Chris Chamberlain, Director of Student Services and Principal of the Alternative High School. I don't live in town. I reside in Waterford. I've been the director for the past 7 years and employed for the last 9. Mr. Churchill had me doing some quick math, so I just want to clarify some of the data and just also tell a little bit of a story. Thinking specifically about the special education students at Griswold High School. Currently, if we look at the tuition students at the high school, we're at about 56% of them being special education students. In the building as a whole, if you take a look at Griswold students, tuition students, who receive additional supports being special education, section 504 or tiered intervention, you're approaching that 50% mark. The state of Connecticut released updated disability statistics today based on the 2022-2023 child count statewide. The percentage of special education students has reached an all-time high at 16.7% of all students in Connecticut, despite the total enrollment of Connecticut students declining rapidly every year. We've seen that increase in Griswold. We're at approximately 20% of our students in district are identified as special education. At approximate another 20% are identified as section 504 students. Our special education teachers have caseloads that have never been as high as they are now. We put together a modest budget that meets the needs of all the students. I could have easily asked for more. The special education budget is one of the larger cost centers in the district, but we do our best to be responsible and try to find the best approach to meet all students' needs, keeping in mind with the legal requirements. Many of the people in the audience, I'm proud to say, are part of the student services team, and I'm extremely proud that they're all here. As many of them have said, they're taxed and we're at a point where we can't reduce further when we should be asking for more. So I would appreciate, as many have said, giving the taxpayers the chance to vote on the proposed budget.
Anyone else?
Hi, Stacy Fidel, I live at 26 Pine Street in Griswold. Was not planning on talking, so hoping it comes out as well as it does in my head. I do teach at kindergarten here at Griswold. I'm an alumni. I left Connecticut to teach and then decided to come back, and I've always wanted to be here in this curriculum, but today I'm gonna talk to you more as the youth cheer director for the town. Thankful that the field passed and we have a great opportunity for us in the future, but to talk about the kids in the future, and we, as much as we are Griswold Youth Football and Cheer, we do take on surrounding towns, because we have lots of kids that come into our program from other school districts. We have kids that are homeschooled that come into our program, and we are the first case in Griswold. And a lot of these kids come into the practice in this building. We practice over at the high school in the field. They look at all of the programs that are up. They look at what other kids are talking about, their experiences here, and how great it is. And these kids from, kindergarten are hearing all these great things that we do hear from all of the other kids that go here, that they want to stay in our program. They want to aspire to come to Griswold. And if we start taking away those programs, the youth aren't talking about it anymore, and they're not making everybody excited about it, and they're not wanting to come here anymore. We actually have a homeschooler who is begging her mom to let her come to Griswold to have a first school experience, because she's just blown away
by all of the things the kids are talking about. And so that's just something to think about, that the adults making the decision, but it's really the kids that are spokespeople, and if we take that away from them, then where are we left with?
Anyone else? Okay, anyone else? No? Anyone on the board want to say anything? Okay, so first of all, I just want to say, you know, as I speak for myself, I think I can speak for the board as a whole. I think it's amazing to see so many people come out and, in my opinion, local politics are by far the most important, you know, set of politics that we can participate in. And I think hearing from all of you tonight is crucially important to making our decision. We have to weigh everyone's, you know, it all comes down to the taxpayer and school and the operating budget of the town and balance it. It's a balancing act, and we're gonna do our best. But I think, you know, your comments tonight were crucial in helping us come to that decision. So what happens next is Thursday night, we have a meeting, a special board of finance meeting. And that's the, correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, this is the town hall meeting. And we will essentially, we will make the decisions then on what we want to do as a board. And then approximately 2 weeks later, we send to town meeting. And there it will hopefully be voted on to go to referendum, which I believe will take 2 weeks after that, we're shooting for approximately the first week of June. So in the meantime, if anyone has any, you know, if anyone listening, watching, or hearing has any more comments, feel free to email the town or email Eric and he'll get the comments to the board. But if there's nothing else, I'm going to close the public hearing. And again, I appreciate all of your time and everyone take care of your day. Thank you. All right, guys. Are you sleeping there? Well, I think by Thursday.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Okay, and I checked with Chris. I reached out to Chris because I know I was missing.
Okay, yeah, because we have a meeting, Eric and I, so 2:30
No worries.
for the
but I'll-
water and sewer, so
So I asked him if 3 would work, and once I hear from him, I'll let you guys know.
thank you.
Thanks.
That's great, Glenn.
Yeah.